after graduating with the PhD, I just sort of began to take on projects of my own to make the transition from pure physics into data science.
Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Business Talk Library, and today we have a guest on that is in a little bit of a different industry, and I think it's a really cool industry and a really cool business, so I'm excited to hear from Bill Freeman. So welcome to the show, Bill.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Now, before we get into your business, which is, I guess, what category would you put your business in?
I think on a technical thing, it might be software as a service, kind of. But
Okay.
it's coaching. It's AI coaching.
Gotcha. So AI coaching is a very interesting thing because that's where a lot of things are going. But before we jump into that, let's hear a little bit about your background. So what was your life before starting this business?
Sure. I grew up in Louisiana. After graduating high school, went to Louisiana State University for physics, got my degree there. Then I went to University of California, Riverside for a PhD in physics as well. And this whole time was concentrating in astronomy. And then from there, I did look at like staying in astronomy and that sort of thing. But eventually I just landed on trying to move into data science. Which I think that data science is a bit new, and that's basically taking huge amounts of data and trying to find patterns and sort of the way that people, behave just through their data and just finding patterns in data. And so there's a lot of skill overlap there with physics, and then it's very analytical and mathematical. There's a lot of software, and then data science just requires all of those same things.
Mm-hmm.
And so after graduating with the PhD, I just sort of began to take on projects of my own to make the transition from pure physics into data science. And so that is, there are a number of sort of standard projects. It'll be like classify some flowers, predict housing prices, these sorts of things. And I was like, okay, this is cool. These are all boring projects. I'm going to find my own. And so that's where my current business started from was a data science project. And so what that was is I looked into Counter-Strike replay files. And so the Counter-Strike is a video game that I've played for 15 years at this point. I said, this is something I care about. There's got to be a bunch of data in here. And then so I sort of did this data science project on Counter-Strike data, and a lot of exploration there.
Okay.
And so that led to a job at Lowe's Corporate, which is in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where moved me out here about 2 years ago. And then after that sort of 6-month contract expired, I went to be a data scientist at a remote company called Row.ai. So I just stayed in Charlotte for that. And then in October of last year, I went full-time on PureSkillGG, which is an AI-powered coach for Counter-Strike players.
Awesome. Now, a couple of things there that I think working in the corporate space that I think a lot of people don't really grasp the value or how critical data science is for their business. So when you're talking to someone that doesn't have a data science background or someone that's not familiar with it, how do you kind of explain like, hey, this is what it actually is?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. So I think the project I was working on is a pretty good indicator of this. And so imagine you're the hammers guy at Lowe's. You need to decide which hammers to sell in the store. And right now you have room for 10 hammers in the space in the store. Out of the thousands of possible hammers with all the manufacturers and types and all that, what 10 are the best you should have in the store?
Okay.
And so that's a really complicated problem with customer demand and pricing and all this. And so we just take all the data we can, put it into a format that we can analyze and try to figure out this optimal solution. What is the optimal way to maximize either number of sales or revenue or something like you can actually choose that as part of the goal of data science. And so it would be something like when one hammer went out of stock, did that demand spread to others? We could see, if we took that one away, would the demand spread, would the demand drop? And we could see all that through our modeling.
Okay, and I think that that's a very effective thing for, I mean, for business owners, and just to be able to actually use the data to make smart decisions. Because it's one thing a data scientist once told me is, 9 times out of 10, the answer of what to do next is in the data if you know how to look at it.
Right. Yeah. It's about optimization. I'm sure that somebody could decide on 10 hammers and it would be pretty good. But if multiply it by volume of stores, by how many hammers are sold per year, suddenly if my solution is 5% better, you know, Lowe's sales were $86 billion last year. So if I said, the assortment optimization will increase that by 1%, that's $1 billion basically. And so like even the slimmest optimization at such big companies is paying off to such a great deal. That's why they have about 40 or 50 data scientists at Lowe's, at least when I was there.
Gotcha. So now let's talk about your business today. So what made you, pick, AI coaching in the gaming space?
Right. Well, so it's definitely the love of two things. One is gaming, and so I played Counter Strike for a long time. My current co-founders, there's three of us in the business total, including me. So the two other co-founders just stayed connected through gaming after grad school, which is where we met. So it's like this long-time gamer, something I'm very passionate about, but it's also something that I enjoyed helping people with. Is that once I stopped being sort of more competitive myself, I noticed there were a lot of people complaining about not knowing how to get better. And it would be insane. Like this person, I've spent 2,000 hours playing this game and I'm stuck at the
Wow.
bottom 20%.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, they're just doing something fundamentally wrong. And I would go and look at it by hand. I look at it by hand and, realize that I was saying the same bit of advice over and over. And then, so the second connection was that through this data, I realized that there's a lot of data in there. It's just a matter of recognizing the patterns of behavior of gamers that need help and what's the optimal solution. That's basically the best gamers found. They they just worked their way through it and figured out this is the right way to play, and then sort of take the difference between those two, and that's what you need to do differently. So there's a lot of pain within gaming, and that's what I wanted to help solve.
Okay. No, that one I think is interesting for a lot of people, because I don't think that people grasp how big the gaming industry is. So when you thought about, like, hey, I have a passion for this, but I want to make it a business, what were like some of the things that I guess really interest you about, like, hey, this could be a viable business?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because at the beginning I said this is a business. This is not a project. This is going to be a business. I'm going to pump thousands of my own dollars into it. This is most definitely a business. One thing is that it's an unsolved problem in a very big industry that has a high frequency. That these core gamers, if you segment the market into that, there's like 200 million core gamers out there in the world. They spend 21 hours a week playing.
Wow.
The median age is 28. And if you look at like age versus like the population, like it doesn't drop off till 40 plus.
Oh,
So
wow.
these are people, between the ages of 15 and 30, median age 28, who spend 21 hours a week playing game. And so the problem is high frequency. If you have the problem, it's going to be high frequency, I should say. Um, and Yeah, another thing is that this isn't the gaming industry is $150 billion a year business. The esports industry is a $3 billion a year business. However, nobody really knows what the like AI coaching market is, because it's not a game. It's an add-on to a game. And there are good indications that people will pay for this because it enhances the gaming experience. So there are services in Counter-Strike like ESEA Face It that cost 10, 15 bucks a month. People are willing to pay out for this because it just enhances that 21 hour a week time that they spend playing. So if it helps a little bit for 21 hours a week, it really helps a lot.
Awesome. So what are the types of services and products that you offer in your business?
I mean, so right now we're actually closed alpha. So the eventual goal is to have something that's 15 bucks a month that will what happens is you'll say play your favorite game. Right now we're just supporting Counter-Strike. You play a game of Counter-Strike. You'll come to our website and it will say, here are the top things that you did wrong. Here's how to fix them.
Wow.
And in doing that, we consider not only like how bad that mistake was, but also how hard it is to fix, how often it happens. And right now, nobody is taking that sort of approach. A lot of competitors that call themselves AI basically just look at your stats, say your stats above average or below average,
Mhm.
and try to give you advice based on that. So we're trying to really distinguish ourselves there, but it's taking a long time to get out there, and we want to release an open version of the site sometime in the next 2 months.
Okay. So where can people find the site and where can people follow you to see updates on what your company's doing?
Right. So our website is pureskill.gg. That's a .gg ending. Sometimes it confuses people, but it's very common in the gaming world. So pureskill.gg is our website. You can follow us on pretty much every social media at It's PureSkillGG. So that's the same tag on Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, TikTok. Made it TikTok. I don't think we post any videos there though. But and then at the bottom of our website, we actually have a Discord, which I think is. I know you talk to people in a lot of other industries, but Discord is unique for gaming in that people who are interested in our product join basically a chat room with us.
Okay.
And when I want to connect with any of my customers, I just go into the chat room and say, "Hey, is anybody having this issue?" And the people will just respond immediately. And I think that
Awesome.
that's a really valuable connection to our customers that not a lot of industries just have.
hmm Yeah, I think that is very valuable when you can provide, like I said, that, firsthand, real world experience solution to your customers. Because, like I said, not a lot of people have that. I mean, it's one of those things that I looked at even when consider home improvement. When someone's building stuff like now, people would go to YouTube to see, okay, how do I build this? And I was like, it would have been so much better for, let's say, Lowe's or Home Depot if they already had that on their own site to where you didn't have to go to YouTube or somewhere else. So I think
Hmm.
that's a pretty good feature on your site.
Right. Yes. Thank you.
Awesome. So before we wrap up, one of the questions that I like to ask every person that comes onto the show is, what's one or two pieces of wisdom or things that you've learned as an entrepreneur and building this business that you're like, well, all entrepreneurs should know this.
Sure. I think probably the one thing that I encounter pretty often is that whenever I talk to people or network about this, they're usually very excited, and a lot of times they'll just start throwing out suggestions, and a lot of people will have ideas on try how to help or how to improve or what to do, but at the end of the day, I realize that all those suggestions take up time. And while I'm trying to develop the core business, they say, why didn't you make this video? Why didn't you add this? Do A/B testing, do this, that. And so just your time is the most valuable thing. And whenever, it comes from a place of trying to help, trying to help push you forward because they like the idea. But they don't know what your time budget is or how you spend it. Only you can determine that. And then I think if I could add a second bit of advice here is that a co-founder is essential. Doing it by yourself, it's possible to get everything done, I think, by yourself, but it's just not feasible. It's not good. You need a second in command to run ideas by, to challenge you, to pick up the slack if you ever drop off. And so that's the other thing is that the co-founder or co-founders are crucial.
Yeah, and I think that that one's very important because I will say a lot of people tend that I've talked to that are interested in entrepreneurship tend to think that, oh, I have this great idea, I'll start it, I'll be a one person show, and then when it comes big, I'll start bringing people on. It's just like you have no idea the number of roadblocks or just personal mental challenges you're going to face in the process of trying to bring this idea to life.
Right. Yes. I totally agree. And it also helps like if you're looking at investors, because if it's you by yourself, well, obviously you believe in your own idea. but the fact that at least one other person, like somebody else, is believing in this to work on it for no money, right?
Mhm.
That there's other people investing in this. So what's the deal, you know?
Awesome, awesome. Well, Bill, thank you for being on the show. We'll definitely include a one page that has the contact information there so people can find you online and they can follow the story of what's going on with your business. Because, like I said, when I heard AI coaching, I was like, I have no idea what that is, but I'm very interested. So, yeah, we'll definitely be watching to see, like I say, your continued success in your business and your industry.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for tuning in to the Business Talk Library. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, be sure to click the subscribe button and follow us on all social media platforms as the Business Talk Library.